So we've been building a lot of custom softwares, digital transformation, and lately last few years, we're seeing a lot of data across organizations, scatters, different silos, and bringing the data to the tables where we can make the sense out of it, which is more business intelligence. We are trying to bring it to the umbrella. Now you can provide the security. And on top of it, along with this business BI services, we provide AI services. And generative AI is where we are hitting and started helping our customer base and some portion of machine learning as well. They don't know what the capability these tools and technologies has it, and can we even automate that thing? And they, in many times, they don't know the knowledge that it can be. And I think that's the two things: where to start and what's the technology is capable of. Those are the two challenges. And once we can apply with these conversations, we can explain is, wow, well, let's do that.
Imagine a world where data silos are a thing of the past and business intelligence drives every decision. Ronak Patel of Sunflower Labs is making this a reality. Tune in to discover how his expertise is paving the way for smarter, more efficient operations.
Thank you. Thank you for being me here.
Cool. Let's just jump right in. So I really do appreciate you being here today, and I'm looking forward to the conversation that we're about to have. So could you share with me how Sunflower Labs focus on integrating AI, data science, and robotic process automation has transformed the operations and strategic outcomes for your client?
Yeah, great question. So we've been building a lot of custom softwares, digital transformation, and lately last few years, we're seeing a lot of data across organizations are scatters, different silos. A lot of data migrations are happening, keeping it under the one hood and bringing the data to the tables where we can make the sense out of it, which is more business intelligence, bringing the data to the live and like seeing what data means to us, to the organization. How do we do that? A lot of data migration projects. And along with that, some process automations, we are using the tools to migrating or moving the data from one place to other place. There are other automations. We do it for efficiency increasing for some of the mundane tasks or repetitive tasks at a different employee may be performing an organization. But end of the day, once we have the large amount of the data scattered across the organizations, we are trying to bring it to the umbrella. Now you can provide the security. And on top of it, along with this business AI services, we provide AI services. And generative AI is where we are hitting and started helping our customer base and some portion of machine learning as well.
Awesome. So we hear it all the time in marketing, listen to your customer, et cetera. So how have customer needs shaped the development of your AI and RPA solution?
So primarily what we do when we are looking at RPA, robotics process automations, the ROI is the first things we do it, calculation for ROI. How do we do that? There are a lot of ideas when we go to the organization and speaks, hey, we can do the automation. They say, hey, this is great. But end of the day, they don't know how effective those ROI would be. So we have the systematic way to analyze the impact for the automating this process. Sometimes it's a great automation, but if it's only a one person in organizations using it, it's no ROI. We can do the automation, but that's no use of it. So we want to see how repeated those tasks are. Some of the tasks are partial or digitalized and some are manual intervention will be adopted in this whole automation process, and the different tools and how repeatedly those tasks are performed and what kind of the peoples get involved into the performing those tasks. So various activity get involved and what kind of the tools you need to automate. So putting all the things together, the 360-degree view, we come up and say, hey, these are the best bet for automating this task as organizations, and we can start doing some digital transformations with the RPA work and take the step one at a time.
Awesome. So could you possibly describe maybe a specific case where your technology visibly enhanced the operational efficiency for a client?
Yeah. So I would take a few examples, different departments. So first one, accounting department, keep receiving purchase orders and say, we got a purchase order. We need to go to this accounting softwares and creating a PO into the application. Now the purchase orders can be received from fax, many times from the emails as attachment. We kind of do the RPA work and read those emails, extract the content, and go to these accounting softwares and create the purchase order in the system. Same things we can with the OCR technology. We can read the facts and those data can be go back to the accounting software. So that's the one case. Recently in our healthcare divisions, we implemented case creation for hospitals. So hospital receiving different doctor offices goes and creating a case in the hospitals for surgery, and they send out all different type of forms, patient informations, and many of the HIPAA related informations, patient informations, insurance carrier information, and so on to the hospital. We also again parse that information, abstract the informations, and eliminate a lot of manual work and creating the cases into the scheduling software directly. So that is, and also from that point, some other automation is just before the surgery, the doctor's office get notified. If there is an anesthesiologist involved, they get notified. Patients get notified, and all these automations comes into play. And they are aware that what's happening. If any change in the schedules, everyone get notifications and so on. So a lot of automations taking place in the healthcare as well.
What are some common challenges that businesses face, though, when trying to adopt these technologies, and how does Sunflower Lab help overcome them?
So primarily when we are talking the different use cases, they get excited. I think the bigger problem they usually face is like where to start. And immediately when we try to help, they're not really see through the other use cases they can be. And that's part of the discovery we try to explore. That's the typical common problem. Even this is not with the process automation in general. They don't know what the capability these tools and technologies has it, and can we even automate that thing? And they, in many times, they don't know the knowledge that it can be. And I think that's the two things: where to start and what's the technology is capable of. Those are the two challenges. And once we can apply with these conversations, we can explain is, wow, well, let's do that.
Perfect. So one of the things is you emphasize problem solving over software building. That's what my research says. So can you explain how this approach sets you apart in the tech market?
Yeah. So when we go to the businesses or enterprises, we are a technology company. We use the various tools. But again, at a core is a problem solving. What problem we are solving, and we can pick the right tools to solve that one rather than say, we do this process automation, but the question is, does it even make sense for you guys? And so on. If we keep the business problem in a center and adopt the right technology to bring it to the life, and we can see the benefits of our transformation.
So one of the things you talk about is investing in your team. It's a key part of your strategy. Are there specific skills or qualities that you're trying to cultivate in your team to keep pace with all the fast tech changes that we experience?
So first is, again, we do not measure, like many other organizations, by people's skills by number of years of experience. We like to see that the willingness to learn and adopt the new things. So adaptiveness is the one of the criteria we look into it. And again, they need to be a forward looking or forward thinking when it's new technologies and adoptions comes into the play. And again, the mindset of problem solving, that's the key. That's where we are. And we want to see that as even being the technologist or engineer, right? Are you really listening our customers, and can you build up the solution which kind of work for them? Many of the client get off by too many technical terms, and they get confused and they don't even know what we are trying to tell them that how we can do it. So having the right skills of the people, and I will say more like a techno-functional people who understand the technology and functionality and understanding the business need and transforming the business problem with the digital workers. I think that's the key. And cultivating those cultures and mindset is a key when we are engaging customers and helping them with the digital transformation.
So are there any emerging trends like in AI and automation that you're seeing come up that you're most excited about?
Primarily, we are seeing generative AI, and generative AI is a big, so we try to help the company to focus on data related problems. So I give you examples as the company have a lot of scattered data, and the same data can be consumed with the LLM, and large language models can be used, and the prompt engineerings can be used to retrieve the same informations. The organizations get bigger. You have a lot of data is in silos. So when one department or one individuals need to access the data, there is a lot of way. Right now is a really complicated way to different systems and interfaces, and we can create in a natural language processing P-based chatbot or the AI layer, which you can retrieve the information based on your roles and security standards we can establish and directly feed the data to the right individual. So I think this is the biggest challenge organizations are facing. And with the different LLM, large language models, cloud-based or even a private hosted, we could be using it and creating the prompt, utilizing the prompt engineering, we can solve that particular problem. And I think that could be the one of the challenge. I think that's where we're seeing the trend as well.
That's the generative AI is just everywhere today, everywhere.
Yeah.
So what do you think? How do you think AI and RPA are going to continue to impact industry standards and practices over, say, like the next decade?
Very significantly. We're seeing there's a lot of use cases where the AI and RPA kind of work together. We sometimes use the word hyperautomations, where the RPA work also using the AI along with it to do the some of the tasks. And many of the digital processes, digitalizations use the RPA and AI both. The examples I was giving earlier, where you can do the scheduling for the patient. Now, actual scheduling for the doctors can be based on the number of cases, their demographic, their information, their skill set, their credentialing. Well, you can actually schedule the doctors and all the technicians needed for that surgery, right? So the AI can comes in and based on the data, number of patients, and hey, we have this many, the case has been created, the scheduling can be automated as well. So that's where we're using the AI along with the RPA. But if you're seeing for many years from here, there is more and more use cases will be rolled out. And Gen AI is leading right now, RPA, and many of the use cases will become more and more apparent. And organization will say, hey, we need to use that as well. So we are seeing the very solid trend going forward.
What is the measurement for success for one of these implementations within your client's operations? Like, what do you use to measure the success of the implementation?
So various criteria we look into it. Definitely the ROI or those things are there. But again, depending on different divisions, right? We set up the different KPIs for that success criteria. If it's a customer success or ticketing systems or something, the manual support system, right? And we are doing the RPA or AI work there, then how happy their customers gets by doing the digital, that could be the criteria for them. How fast that turnaround could be, how effectively that organization finding the informations to helping their customer. So those could be the different KPI we need to set up. So it's not a universal rule that, hey, these are the engagement criteria, but the impact we are trying to do, and we can set up those KPI for those process automation, and we say, did we reach that one? And I think we need to measure ourselves with this automation and seeing that how impact we are driving towards.
So let's say a business is looking to start their journey. They're just starting out with AI and automation. What are some initial steps that you would recommend that they follow?
If they are trying to look into it, you mean they want to adopt the AI or RPA?
Yes.
Yeah. I would say the first things they need to really have some of the consultant like company like ours who like help with the deep knowledge of the different use cases they can really take on that one. And I think anyone before that, his journey start with understanding is what these tools and technologies and frameworks capabilities are. And working with the discovery sessions, so we provide some of the solution architect, like very subject matter expertise, also on not only on technology, but sometimes along with the domain, and say, hey, are you facing this similar challenge we are seeing in other industries in the similar of your natures? And trying to explore more. And once we have some validations of the problem, then I think we can work around. I think getting the knowledge of what these things can used for, and along with this, what are the common use cases? I think that's the first step rather than we're seeing the two type of AI. And that's where many of the C-level or CXO get confused is I need to adopt the AI. There is everyday AI. There are a lot of use cases out there, and there are game changer AI. I can completely change my product line, or I can create a new products, or I can offer the new service line. You need way more maturity. Number one, you also need the large budget to initiate those type of a project. And the third thing, the risk tolerance. If you're trying to take our game changer AI, you're taking a way higher risk compared to the everyday AI. So you need to see that the maturity of the organization. So you want to start picking up some of the everyday AI use cases, which we know there are plenty out there. You can start doing it. Once you get some more maturity in the organization, you can start shooting for the game-changing AI and RPA use cases down the road.
So I'm sure your customers give you feedback after implementations, correct?
Mhm. Yes.
What's the strangest customer feedback you've ever received?
We've seen in AI project, sometime they traditionally, the many of the digital project like digitalizations has a very expected outcome. When you're using the LLM or Vision APIs or Vision AIs, and you don't know how exactly that will turn out your outcome. And in their mind, everything will be solved by AI. And they's like, oh, that be happen, right? We thought there is no human will be needed after this automation. And we said that's not the case. And many of the time we need to perfect the model. And the strange other recently we have one of the customer, they wanted to build their AI model. And when we started digging into it, their existing data sets were too tiny. And we say, well, you need a way bigger data set to train your models, and you don't have it. And this, I thought the AI could learn. I say, it's your proprietary enterprise data, and we cannot make it up. If you want a very specific use case we want to solve, we need a large amount of the data. So it's a misconceptions of the feedback after few weeks and say, we thought AI would understand everything. I said, like, no, we need to train the things. It doesn't understand everything. The input we provide, that's how we can build it based on it. So those are the feedback. And again, we think is more adoption level. I think they are still in early phase. They are educating themselves and their organization. And those feedback, I think we still take it and explain them. It doesn't work that way. And this is what we need to do the step by step to get to the next level.
Yes, there's so many misconceptions around AI. You have discussions about, is it going to take over the world? I mean, I went to a video marketing conference last week, and one of the speakers was talking about tools that she uses in video editing and video production that are AI based. And first thing she asked people to do is raise their hand if they already use some AI tools. And surprisingly, it was a small group of people. And then it was, how many of you are afraid to use AI? It was a huge group of people. And most of them, same thing. They're afraid that it's going to take over what they're doing. And I personally, I know I'm coming from the 30-year tech background and whatnot. I don't see it. To me, like machine learning, which of course is a more rudimentary form of what we're dealing with today, it's been around for a long time. So I'm not quite sure. If it was going to take over the world, I think it would have done so already. And like you said, it's dumb. It doesn't know anything until you teach it. It's one of those things. But what's probably the most unusual or maybe surprising application of AI that you've encountered in your industry?
We've seen a lot of a cool AI use case. And recently we started looking one of the manufacturers project. And what we are trying to create is more like a game changer AI, where we have the tools and part, right? Which have been created from the different manufacturing assembly line, and they know exactly specs of it. Now we are trying to create a new product out of it. So we say we got already had the 2,000 different materials and create the CAD file for that one. So that's think as you are trying to make the furnitures or you're trying to make the decorative piece, and you never imagine, and you look from various images outside and searching, and you like on other end you are seeing a lot of inventory, you already have it. So you're not trying to create something new. I do have the 2,000 parts of the various size and shape. Let's build it something out directly. Go to market is a way faster. So you're not trying to create a new assembly line for the new parts. You are just trying to reuse the part. You know how to make it. You already have the supplier for that one. You already know the price and calculation. And those are the things is coming, and we are building that one, and that will like giving a way new idea of, it will take a longer for humans to come up and say, and they do it, but it takes a longer. So the AI comes into play and changing the way it's happening right now. And it's surprisingly, creating some of the innovative and like, oh, we never thought of it. This is like a simple, and in just a few weeks of our engagement, we are able to create something very unique designs based on their existing inventory.
Interesting. That's interesting. I wouldn't have thought about that. As you were talking, I was thinking about like places like IKEA that put out furniture with like millions of different little parts, and how much this all could actually help them is pretty
Yep.
crazy stuff. Earlier, you were talking about solving problems. And so if you could instantly solve one world problem using AI, what would the problem be that you would tackle, and how would you tackle it?
They were thought on that one if there's the one problem. Yeah, I think there's a lot of the things I would say in a healthcare could have been done. How are different medicines, and again, we are seeing the AI is being used, right? So in healthcare is where humankind would be greatly benefited with this adopting the AI, generating the new medicines or even some of the cures. And when we had a large amount of the data to process and understanding and getting the new way of thinking, AI could be play a good role, right? So that's the case of more like machine learning and patient data and histories and these medicines. That's what there's a lot of the scientists trying to do. But again, with the limited AI, and I think what we are seeing, I think that's the problem I would say will be the one problem I would go and pick one of the problem and solve there, where the whole humankind like could be get the benefit out of it.
Yeah, I'm glad you said medicine, because there's a story I've told on this show multiple times. Listeners have heard it before, but basically, this mom, she took her son to a birthday party, and they had it at one of these bouncy house places where they have trampolines and whatnot. And he was only like 3, 4 years old. After that, he started experiencing some health issues, and she went to doctor after doctor. He had CT scans, he had MRIs, he had all the tests, and nobody could figure out what was wrong. Nothing was working. And so, of course, as typical mom, she's staying awake at night she's worried about her child. So she goes to Chat GPT, and she takes every report that the doctors have given her and she keys it into Chat GPT. And it comes back with might be this. And she went to his neurologist and she said, okay, I know this is crazy, but here's what I did. And here's what it told me. And he like paused for a bit and he said, I would have never thought of that. It possibly could be that. And turned out it was. So they were able to help the child with just a diagnosis. And I think going forward, can you imagine if somebody created a language model built around medical diagnoses? Here's the symptoms, here's what it could be. Instead of having something like WebMD that pretty much everyone jokes about, everything you put in there, you have cancer. No matter
Yeah.
what it is, it's cancer. And that's because it's dumb. It just has, here's a list of symptoms. Does it match the search? Yes. Okay, let's display this page. Imagine though, if you could go to the doctor and you tell him all this stuff and he's punching it into a piece of software, and then when he's done, it gives him some ideas. And sure, you want to use the doctor's knowledge, training, and experience to actually determine if that's what it is. But I always feel like if you can use a tool, especially a smart tool, to speed up the outcome, that's all the better. Like I myself, I deal with something in my left side of my neck where there's a nerve that's pinched, and they've tried all sorts of technologies to find where the nerve is so they can figure out like what kind of physical therapy would help, etc. And they can't figure it out. It would be so nice to have that little kickstart, right? Like down the road of this could possibly be the problem. And then your doctor's job would be to say, no, you know what? When it's that, there's also these other symptoms that are always present and you don't have those. So let's skip that one and let's jump to this one. But maybe I think of it like a doctor's assistant. It's there to help. And the thing about it is AI is so detached from any emotional issue that it wouldn't matter if it was a 2-year-old child or an 80-year-old woman. It's not going to care, and it's just going to give you raw data back, right? I think it'd be an interesting use, don't you?
Yeah. And right now, the way we started with the Chat GPT and Google Gemini and many of the other cloud-based LLM tools, what we are seeing the trend going forward, that will be a tiny LLM with a smaller amount of the parameters will be launched. And we take those small LLM large and train with the very specific information so they can be better of what we are looking for. Right now, you don't want to train your model with this all internet data, which is sometimes you're not getting what you're looking for when you are going very specific, let's say healthcare. So you want to say we can load up millions of different case and patient history and train the model very specific to that use cases and do the better prompt engineering around it. And then you can see the way better the outcome. And this is where the futures of AI is. It's not going to be limited to what we are doing right now with this, the open source, like a cloud-based LLM. Yes, it's good for every day. Well, drop me emails or do some basic things. But when you want to be very specific, you have this enterprise data, you want to use it, or your organization's data. And that's where the organizations will move forward. Bloomberg has launched their own model based on they have multi-decades of the data of financials organizations data, and they can use and build their own model which can be used to giving your financial age to the compared to the others. So again, how much more data you have, you can create the better models, and it treat you very specific rather than the general purpose. And that would be the kind of the futures we are seeing right now.
It's different issue, but slightly related, because you're talking about taking a language model and like training it using like a doctor's data. I think that's brilliant. When I was starting out, I was a software developer and I worked for a company. It was pre-iPad and even pre like these Ziosk things are in restaurants and stuff. And it was a combination of both. The idea was menu would be on there. You could order and then on this little pad, and then kids could play games on it. That was pretty much the idea. And when I'd write the software, I'd say it'd be nice if the hardware could tell me this, but it doesn't. And by a couple of days later, it'd be like, try now. Here's the code that's going to send you back. It's nice when you can take a device that you're working with and teach it things so that your software can be helped along the road and vice versa. And I think you're right. If a bunch of people got together, especially doctors, like let's say all the neurologists got together and put in all the data that they have of cases that they 100% know that this was the issue. We fixed it. We know it was the issue. Put all that stuff in there. Then other neurologists, as they're coming up through the ranks, when they first come out of medical school, they're going to have access to that information and be able to make better diagnoses. And not, it always reminds me of, sometimes doctors remind me of I don't want to put it this way, but it's the only way I can think of, the unethical car mechanics. It feels like they're just throwing darts and going, well, let's replace your carburetor. Oh, that didn't work. Let's replace this. Oh, that didn't work. Let's replace this. That didn't work. And of course, with the mechanics, sometimes I feel they're just doing it to make money. With a doctor, they're doing it because genuinely there can be multiple avenues based off of what you present to them as symptoms. And they have to try what they think is the most common to the least common in order. And it's like just checking off a checklist. And
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think AI is going to be super helpful. When I read that story about the mom, it really touched me because I have 4 children myself. And I know I'll never forget my second child. He's my second oldest. He got RSV when he was about 6 weeks old. And that watching that poor little guy's chest go in and out and like barely be able to breathe, it's a scary thing as a parent. So I can only imagine when your child has like a chronic illness and yet no one can figure out what the heck is wrong to fix it. AI could go a long way towards that. And this is why I say to people, AI is not going to take over the world. It's going to help save the world. It's going to fix issues. And even down to, I wonder sometimes just down to negotiations about things. If you feed in the data points, what each party's goals are, perhaps it comes up with an approach that everybody is happy with, rather than one person having to feel like maybe they got looked over or something. So I don't know, but this was a really intriguing conversation. Your topic is one that I've heard AI. I've had many AI discussions on this show, but not from the realm where you're coming from. I think you're doing something very different than most people. But let the people know where they can find you so that they can reach out if they want to.
Yeah, they can go to our website, thesunflowerlab.com, and they can contact us, or you can also find us on a LinkedIn, and they can reach us out there as well. And happy to, anyone has a questions or even not sure if the AI or process automations could be a fit, we can certainly help them out and just be agents where we just say that this is how we have been doing and it makes sense. We can help, maybe a right time or right problem to solve. We are happy to help there too.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time today. I know it's valuable time and it's late in the day for you. So I really, truly appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Well, thank you everyone for being here for another episode of Gaining the Technology Leadership Edge. As I mentioned, released every Wednesday, 8 a.m. Pacific, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Hope you have a great week. and come back next week for another amazing episode.